What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to the Offside Shout. Make sure to go ahead and check out my socials at _diagrams on Twitter. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of the Fantasy Premier League. We're going to go ahead and get into it because this is actually my first time doing it for like 5 years, and I was never really an aficionado or anything, so I figured we'd go ahead and get into it, but let's go ahead and check out what I've got going on because I already picked my team. And so I'm just going to go ahead and run through it. If anyone watches this and wants to call me out on some stupid ass selections or whatever, please do it because admittedly I don't really know what I'm doing, but I will go ahead and at least explain the reasoning I do have for what I've chosen. Let's go ahead and get into transfers. Also, the Community Shield is tomorrow at whatever time, my time. Let's see, actually. Community Shield, 8:30 for me. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool. I think that Liverpool is going to go into that hot. I think they're going to be hungry after the kind of the summer that they've had, not really bringing anyone in. I know they could still get Thiago in, but I don't see they don't want to lose that because it's just, I mean, the first silverware as a champion, you want to be winning that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. For goalkeepers, I have Ryan and Rui Patricio. Patricio I picked because I think that Wolves aren't going to concede that many goals. They usually have a really good defensive record. And Ryan apparently won people a bunch of points last season, and he's cheap. So I got him, but problem is when Brian does come up against the bigger teams, aka Chelsea, on the first match day, I don't want any Brighton players in my squad. So I left him out, but I am going to keep him around. And then obviously Patricio almost always, well, he always starts because he's their number one, but he's pretty set on to always start unless he gets injured somehow, which is pretty unlikely. And they'll be playing Sheffield United. I actually think two defensively sound teams. I could see Wolves doing fine against Sheffield United, so it just seems like a better bet, but I like him. Let's go ahead and just take a look. Like, we have Pope for 5.5. You have Henderson, who might actually start getting some game time here, and then you have Schmeichel. Yeah, I like my my chances with the Patricio shout because I don't really rate many other goalkeepers. I might like, especially if they get Koulibaly and they figure out their defense, which it seems like Pep and City are trying to. Ederson's probably like the best shout because I think they'll keep the most clean sheets. They do have a really good defensive record, and I think Man City even won the I think that they got the most clean sheets this season, and Ederson ended up winning it. But also keep in mind that I think Alisson was out for a while, so that would be the main reason. I think he only like lost the Golden Glove by not much, by 3, so maybe not. But anyways, like Nick Pope, Ederson, both good calls. I'll go with Rui Patricio because I think that they're gonna be fine, and it's a decent split kind of looking at Brighton and the Wolves, I feel like. So yeah. Then for defenders, I think that James is going to have a good season. I think that last year was kind of him really breaking into the Chelsea squad, and I know that he'll have to compete with Azpilicueta, but Azpi is starting to kind of lose his legs. So I think that in the majority of games, maybe some of the bigger games where you want experience, Azpi will start, but Reece James is going to be starting most games. And he only got 2 assists last season, I believe. 2 assists, but I expect him to actually get a couple goals and probably get around the 10 mark on assists, because he is good and he has a very good cross, and he's a young guy. He's fit. I don't know too much about his injury record, but I don't see that being an issue totally. So yeah, go ahead and let me know about that. Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, don't really need to explain. I think that they're great value for the amount of points they're going to get you, especially Alexander-Arnold. But you know, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold are, I mean, they're going to be getting tons of points, because the only way I don't see them getting me tons of points this season is if, first off, one of them gets a major injury, but also if Thiago Alcantara comes in and Klopp decides to change systems. So whereas almost all of their creativity goes through their fullbacks, if he decides to change to a different system where they're going to be creating more from the midfield, which will probably happen if Thiago comes in, but I think they'll still have a lot of creativity coming from their defense, and they're not nearly as expensive as what you get, you know, up the field. So I expect Alexander-Arnold to score like 5+ goals this season, and obviously they'll both bang like around 15 assists. So not obviously, but probably. Trent definitely will. Williams, he's just a stopgap. He's just a cheap option. Connor Cody, yeah, he's just going along with the Wolves thing. I just want a defender who's going to play every single game, as obviously Cody does as captain of Wolves. And he's going to, I mean, that's a lot of minutes played. I think Maguire is probably the only player who's played more minutes, to be honest, or basically the only player to have played more minutes than Cody this season. I'm not even sure he's played more. I think that they played about the same, but Maguire's played every minute of every game for Manchester United this season in the Premier League and in most European competitions as well. So here's my thinking there. I do think they'll get clean sheets this season, plenty of them. So now for midfield, Aubameyang, obviously. I just think that he's so consistent, and if you look at my strategy for this Fantasy Premier League thing is I'm basically just going for players where the system that the team plays goes through them. So Aubameyang is, of course, I mean, he's either going to be creating or scoring the goals. So how many assists does he have, by the way? Only 5 assists, but then 7 assists the season before, but 22 and 22 is pretty, and then 10 and 4, he was only there for half a season, maybe even less. I can't remember. I think he came in near the end of the January transfer window. So I rate that decision. I think everyone's going to have him, or lots of people are going to have him in their team. Not everyone, of course not. Romeu, he's there because he's a cheap option, and he gets some game time. Like, not a whole lot, but, you know, pushing up to 2,000 last season. So he's just in there because he's a cheap option, and I don't, like, rate him, but I do rate him as a player. I think he's good. So, and he'll just be there to kind of hold it. I could probably find a midfielder who gets more goals, but I'll just let that one be. Then Barnes and Son is kind of a little risky one for me, but it's really just Manchester United doesn't play the first game week. Manchester City and Manchester United don't play the first game week. So Barnes is going in, and then I almost have enough to pop in Bruno Fernandes after the first game week. And yeah, I ultimately intend on having Bruno Fernandes in, but also if I can't drop whoever to get who I want in without losing points because of too many transfers, then I will go for Mason Greenwood or someone of the like. Actually, if we go ahead and look at it, let's just see. Nah, don't remove him. Yeah, I want to see what players are potentially available. Rashford even. I'll have enough for Rashford if I drop Barnes, depending on price changes. I don't actually know how all that works yet, so But look, Rashford, Mahrez. Yeah. Pulisic would be good if he wasn't injured or whatever. Which he might be. I don't know when he's back, actually. Hamstring injury, 50% chance of playing. So we'll know right before the game week. Which I'll actually have to start paying attention to when the press conferences happen. And who's kind of coming in and out. But anyways, I don't actually know how much Leicester relies on Barnes anymore. But for $7 million, that's not a bad option. He does have a good return on his goals and assists for minutes played, at least. So he's decent. He's decent for that price. Son, I didn't even realize he assisted 13 times this season. His goals scored seem a little low. I would expect him to probably go 15 and 15 if Tottenham are playing well this season, and if he plays more minutes. He'll probably go like 15 goals, 15 assists. He's a good option. My biggest issue is I think if I want to get Bruno Fernandes in, I am going to have to drop Son, because he's Son or Aubameyang, but I think Son is the one I'll be dropping, depending on what happens. We'll just have to see after game week 1, but I do think Bruno Fernandes, again, Son is very important to Tottenham's system, so he's going to be a main contributor, whatever, to their team and therefore my team. But Bruno Fernandes, everything goes through Bruno and Pogba. So, that was my other option, by the way. So I was thinking about Mason Greenwood, but I could also drop in Pogba for $8. Yeah, it's like $8 million. I don't even know what you guys say. Just £8. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm definitely dropping Barnes after game week 1. But the question is, who do I get in, really? And I'll have to kind of move it around to get Bruno Fernandes. But if not, then Greenwood or Pogba. And I know Pogba's stats weren't great last year, but believe me, Pogba's going to get more this season. I mean, he was out of it for so long, and he's more integral to our team now. And obviously, he just needs to play some games. But he will get assists. He will get goals. So, yeah, he'll be thereabout. But I do want Fernandes, because everything really in the attacking third does go through. All right, Traore. Yeah, I just think that for 6.5, he is going to be massive, and he's going to get me a steady amount of points for a cheaper price. The other thing is, as long as Jimenez is in their team, Traore is a good bet. It really depends on the forward they have, but with Jimenez still on the team, I rate that. And also, I know that it's not the way you're supposed to play this game, but game week 2, they play Man City, and he always scores against Man City. He is the antithesis. He is the anti-whatever to Manchester City's defense. Someone with pace and power who has a bit of dribbling and can get a shot off, even though he's not that clinical. He's like the worst nightmare for that defense. And you already know he has them on strings. So I'm not too worried about them playing Manchester City in the second game week, mostly because of his record. Kind of see what else is going on. Might need to keep Barnes. Either way, let's go ahead and move on to forwards. Werner's one of the picks that people are choosing because they're fans of Werner. If you look at his record, it's phenomenal. Yes, it will drop off a bit in the Prem more than likely, but I'm still going to choose him, and I like him because it's just a risk. Like, it's huge profit if he does well and he settles in quickly, and not so much profit if he doesn't. But keep in mind, and this was definitely a factor in why I chose to go with Werner, was he's been training with Chelsea for like a month now. So, or whatever, since they've been back. So he's already been there. Like, he's been in London with the team, with the coaching staff this whole time. And he should have plenty of German friends, German teammates, and, other people to come in. I think that I imagine that Frank Lampard understands kind of the dynamic, especially with those younger players, and we'll have a environment conducive to bringing in and supporting these younger players. So there you go. Wickham is literally just, he plays some minutes sometimes. No, he doesn't. Okay, let's go look for someone for Wickham. I thought he did, but really he's just a cheap option because I want to keep enough in my my account to be able to go ahead and get the players I want in game week 2. So go all the way to the bottom. Hey, yeah, let's check it out. Brewster, no, never gonna play. Davis played some, but he doesn't score goals or anything, does he? And he played 500 minutes. Must have played against United. Yeah, it's 5, so I can't. That's why I did it, because there's literally no other options. Yeah, it makes sense. All right, that's why we had him in there. It's too funny. And by the way, this is an outside shout that I think that people should actually go for. Kelechi Iheanacho. So my last player in the team only played 1,000 minutes, 64 points, 5 goals scored, 4 assists. So he's almost averaging a goal contribution every 100 minutes. And he also is playing a lot more in a 2-forward system with Vardy since, I don't know, maybe the restart, maybe just before. But they definitely switched systems, which is why I'm actually less confident that Barnes will be playing at least as much. And Iheanacho and Vardy will be playing more together, which I think means more goals and assists for both of them. So I think if one of those is profiting, the other one is profiting as well. But anyways, yeah, that's my my team. So I'm going to start off game week 1 with Patricio playing for Wolves against Sheffield United. I already explained why I feel comfortable with that. Trent Alexander-Arnold against, well, Trent and Robertson. They'll be playing Leeds. So I imagine Leeds is going to want to attack. And so that should be good for me either way. So anyways, they'll be playing against Leeds. So I think that's good. James against Brighton. They should be good there. Cody, if Patricio does well, Cody does well, basically. And Barnes against West Bromwich Albion. Son against Everton. Aubameyang versus Fulham. I reckon he'll get a goal or 2 there if they win. Imagine he'll be the one scoring for the most part. Traore for Sheffield United, or against Sheffield United. Werner and Iheanacho against Brighton and West Brom, respectively. So anyways, I think that's a good team. If you do end up watching this, let me know what you think, because admittedly, I don't know what I'm doing. So anyhow, yeah, just go ahead and comment below or wherever you see fit. Bug me on Twitter. Doesn't matter. Speaking of Twitter, go ahead and check out my socials at _diagrams on Twitter. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys all later. Peace.